Scoop query. This is advanced, and these are the queries which will be running on daily basis, right? Incremental jobs, uh, updating records in RDBMS, then extracting those updated records using a scoop query. So a scoop allows us some other parameter to use a condition, just like in previous query. What we did in cell when we want to get the joining result, right? So uh, get get common uh, records, get common records from RDBMS using a scoop. Using scoop to do this, we started one joining query. Then we checked that joining query first in RDBMS. If it was working there, then we have used that query to extract data in HDFS. Right now, do we have any other thing to use it similar way? Suppose um, I'm into e-commerce, and in e-commerce they are maintaining their customer data. Let's say eBay. Okay, so they're maintaining their customer data, and how they're maintaining their customer data from here. I have a table called cust. Okay, and this table I'm creating in RDBMS. So I have a table cust. I follow all that DDL statement to create the table, and then in this table, my number of columns is customer ID, customer customer name, and customer country. These three columns are there. I've inserted records like this. I have ID column, name column, and country column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have sample 5 records, and um, name is Rose, then Yogi, then uh, then 5 is um, John, then uh, Dave. Okay, these people are from India, so I'll give country as IND. This is from India. This is from South Africa. This is from USA. This is also from USA. Now, when I have stored this records in my customer table, so I only want to get the record related to USA, not India and South Africa. So how can I get records of USA? There's two query. First, I can say I can use this minus minus query operation, and I can embed my query within that. I can say select star from table name, which is cust, where country is equal to USA, and dollar conditions, and dollar conditions. So this is the query which I need to write inside minus minus query parameter, and my job will be done. This is well single quote. So notation is also very important here, because if we make a mistake, we'll stuck there. Just like in one of the session, we used double quotes, and the data was not fetching. This is one option. Second option is scoop is providing one where condition. Okay, so you can write this operation also. You can say my query will be scoop import hyphen hyphen connect JDBC MySQL IP address. What is IP address? We'll use some IP address, whatever is IP address. Okay. Database name, then username. I'll write it here. Minus minus username, which is root. Minus p, password. Minus minus table name, and this table name is cust. And you just need to pass a condition like this: minus minus where is equal to USA in single quote. That's it. And then target directory, if you're not giving, it will append with user Cloudera, that we know if a target directory is not giving. And number of mapper based on the primary key. If you have primary key, you can define multiple. If you do not have, we'll give just one. So using this specific thing, using this parameter, it can just give me the record of USA. This is equivalent. This is equivalent to this query. This minus minus where parameter is equivalent to this query. You can test it. You can test this. You can test this also, and you can test this also. Just change the target directory, because if target directory is already present, you'll get exception. So use wisely your user Cloudera option. This is one thing. So since already we have tested this, I'll not rewrite again the same query. My second query, if I want to change my type of data. So currently Scoop is taking all the data in text delimited format. Now I don't want my data in text delimited format. I want my data in some other file format. So using Scoop, extract data in sequence file format or Avro file format. I'll tell you what is Avro and what is Parquet. These are very useful file format in Hadoop. So Parquet and Avro, I will revisit this separately. But for now, you can understand if data you are encrypting based on row wise. If data you're encrypting based on row wise, that's a Avro format data. Avro works with that. So your RDBMS is a row oriented database. Now, row oriented database, obviously Avro is better because Parquet does just opposite. Parquet is a column. It is specifically written or created for column encryption, right? But what is my job currently? I want to take data from RDBMS to HDFS. RDBMS is working with a row-oriented database concept. I should use Avro ideally, but I will tell you Parquet also that how this data will look like. Okay, why do we use this file format? So that data is secured. People cannot read it, and obviously when I'm using a different file format, the data can be readable from any programming languages. So this is the reason we use a different file format within the dataset for encryption reason, fast performance, and any programming language can process it. Simple. I'll use all these three one by one. By default is a text delimiter, right? It is using text format, extracting your data in uh, text format. Now suppose you want to use the sequence. Will we use one by one? We'll use sequence, then Avro, then Parquet. So for this, I will go to my Cloudera. This is my Cloudera. It's already open. We'll follow the same thing. We'll open a terminal. And scoop import minus minus connect JDBC MySQL. Then what is the IP address? So IP address double show that I remember what was the IP address last time I have used, because this is the IP address which I'm using since beginning. But do not assume, guys. Open your terminal and get your IP address using ifconfig. Windows user ipconfig. My IP is not changing, but same. I'll go ahead now with username and password. So IP is same. I'll give my database name. Now to know the database name, I will open my MySQL. What is the command to see the database? So databases. Use database name. Sort tables. I have so many tables, right? Let me extract table cells. Do we have any records inside cells? Select a star from cells. So we have three columns: ID, item, country. I'll use this table and use any file format. I'll start with sequence. You just need to pass this parameter at last. Okay. So my database name is PRWA. Username is root minus p hyphen hyphen table name, and this table name is cells. Then minus 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 username. Sorry, username is given already. Table is also given. Now target directory. So I don't want to take a risk that in user cloud if cells is already present, it will throw me exception. That's why I'll use target directory slash my cells. I create this folder. Number of mapper I'll give 1, and at last I can give after that also before this. I'll just use minus minus as minus sequence file. This is the only extra parameter you're giving to convert your all the data in sequence format. Sequence basically follows the binary encryption technique. Okay, it encrypts in a binary form so that you cannot read the data by yourself. I'll extract it first. I'll go to this folder and I will show you the data how it is looking. So you can see there we have 3 records retrieved, and if I want to see this record, I'll clear my screen first. What was my target directory? My cells. So this my cells is created in HDFS. That's why our 3 records retrieved: HDFS, DFS, minus ls, and my underscore cells. So this is my part 5, and success is acknowledgement, we know already. Can I cat this to validate this information? Minus cat and part star. So you can see it, but you cannot understand it because this is encrypted in binary form. This is what is a sequence file format. Any file format which you're using, it gives you data security that even I cannot read this information. Right? I can see some of the data like mobile, India, smartwatch, but exactly I cannot understand it. They have they have encrypted in some of the data type format, long writable cells and other things. This is how you can use a sequence file. Similarly, if you want to use Avro, I'll just change one query here. Instead of saying S sequence, I'll say Avro data file. I'll say Avro data file. And this will be my cells Avro. Submit again. Just one change, right? Earlier it was as sequence file. Currently it is as Avro data file. This will convert in Avro format. So separately I'll visit Avro and Parquet chapter when we talk about Hive. Currently you understand this two things, that Avro is a row-based encryption and Parquet is a column-based encryption. Again, 3 records retrieved, and I can see this information from here. HDFS, my cells Avro underscore Avro. Same thing, but how do you know this is Avro or this is sequence? So they have given one extension for it. If it is .avro extension, which means this file is a Avro file, right? If it is .avro extension, this is a Avro file. Can I read this Avro file? Minus cat and part. So star I'm giving because I don't want to write a big name. You also can read with this with star. If you see this, within this data itself, I have my data and metadata both. Within the same data, I've got my data along with the metadata. This is all my metadata. This is all my metadata, and from here my data is starting. This is all my metadata, and this is my data. So when I want to read this information, right? When I want to read this information from HDFS, then I need one help from Hive as a data warehouse. Okay. So what is internally happening now? Internally, this is happening. This is your RDBMS. You have table cells created here. You're extracting the cells data using third-party tool, Scoop, or I can say utility, which is present in Hadoop server, and extracting or migrating this data to HDFS. So Scoop is requesting, getting acknowledgement, importing it. This is so far good. We get this data my cells Avro right here in this folder. But question is my cells Avro. Question is My cells Avro has a part file, part M, and 0000 dot Avro. But how can I read this data? I do not understand this. How can I read this data? To read this data, I will create one ecosystem, Hive, and within Hive, I will create a table. So within this Hive, I'll create a table where I'll pass a schema, and then from this table, I will read this data. So this is what we do whenever we encrypt anything. We need to decrypt it. You cannot directly read the encryption file, right? So encryption, decryption, serialization, deserialization, right? I can say this is a serialization technique also. This is serializing the data. Then to read this, I should ideally call this as a serialization as well, not encryption, okay? Because encryption and serialization is a bit difference. So let me call the sequence and Avro are a serialization technique. They are a serialization technique. Now, since my data is serialized, serialization in English definition, if I give up serialization, then this is converting byte stream, converting object into byte stream, converting your object means data, into byte stream. That's what is a serialization technique. Now, how can I again convert this byte stream into object? I need to deserialize it. I need to deserialize it. So the serialization and deserialization, there's a code written in Scala and Java. But in Hadoop, we are not writing any code. Hadoop has given us one library called SERDI. SERDI stands for serialization and deserialization. So this SERDI will use in Hive, will create a table using SERDI format and will read this data from HDFS. Okay, so my data is serialized in HDFS, but I can read it here well in proper table format, in proper English, that I can see my first column, second column, third column, fourth column. So this is why Hive is very useful for warehousing purpose. Okay, so again I repeat, in nutshell, what you're doing, you're extracting this data in a serialized format, storing in HDFS. This is my first agenda. Once this data gets stored in HDFS, then I will create a table in Hive and use a SERDI format to read this data. Whenever I run any query in Hive, it will pick up this data and deserialize it and show me that proper output in this tabular format, in this table form. But my data in HDFS will be stored in this serialized format only. Okay, so they're fast, their processing speed is good, and to read this information, to read this data using Hive query or using other programming languages like thrift server and other, I can handle this data. This is why we use serialization concept in data extraction, why we have the number of bytes transferred changed in sequence and error. For serialization technique, Sumanda, because if you let's say you have a data stored in you have data stored in RDBMS, okay, and this data is related to credit card from a bank. Now, if you're not using this file format, you use a simple text format to extract this data in HDFS, and somebody hacks your packets, somebody hacks your data packet and read this data, read this text data. You know what can happen? This can be a disaster for the bank. This credit card information can be leaked, not just for banking, for any, like suppose in healthcare, I'm trying to extract this data, and meanwhile, whenever you transfer, so data is more risky when you transfer. Data is stored here. We have many layers to to uh, to protect my information. I have many layers created stable in HDFS to protect my data, but I do not have any protection right here in this transaction time. So to secure my data transfer, I am using my file format so that if somebody read this information also, they do not understand what exactly is this. They can get it this data, but then they do not understand what information is this unless they serialize and they know the technique. This is why we use this all serializations. Okay, to create a safety tunnel. It's like this is creating as a tunnel. In this tunnel, in this tunnel, so in this tunnel, my secure data is going through and then getting stored in HDFS. This is the reason to encrypt, serialize this information. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now, third query is my Parquet file. Third query is my Parquet file. So we have seen sequence, Avro, by default is a text. Fourth is a Parquet file. I'll go there and change this. So Parquet file is not uh, taking any target directory. Parquet file will take this data directly to user Cloudera. Target directory we cannot define in Parquet because in a script it must have written like that. Okay, so remember in Parquet file that target directory we should not define explicitly. It will take user Cloudera and append with that. If you give it, then you'll get exception because the script is not taking the target directory. This is how I can explain you about the Parquet file. So I need to change this. Uh, I need to change this type from Avro to Parquet. And what is the name of this? Minus minus as minus Parquet file. Now if you're thinking, okay, so in which situation I should use sequence, which situation I should use Parquet and Avro, that I will tell you in Hive. If that question is particular that when we should use at what condition, what type, okay, which scenario, I'll take that part in Hive when we need that data to be extracted using particular format. S Parquet file, enter. And root. This also extracted. Uh, so this data is stored in user Cloudera, right? We'll go to HDFS DFS minus ls user Cloudera and cells. And this is my record. So similar way for Avro you have Avro extension. For Parquet we have a Parquet extension within a file .parquet. So this is how you know whether this file is serialized using which format. Now can we read this Parquet again? HDFS DFS minus cat. This path, copy and paste. This is my data. Metadata is separately stored in this. Metadata is separately stored in this file. Okay. So which Avro does not give us. So mostly like if I rationalize my uses Parquet between Avro. So 80% time I'm using Parquet and 20% time I'll be using Avro. In which situation, in which case, in what file, what is standard, I will tell that in Hive. Just be with me. So this is three different file format. sequence, avro, and parquet. By default is a text one. For data, serialization from RDBMS to HDFS. And why we are doing this? To create a secure tunnel to transfer our data from some SOCs or proxy server. There are different kind of server. Different kind of proxy created. Now, third one is currently what is happening when you submit it, immediately your job gets submitted, right? But I'm thinking that I don't want to submit my job immediately. I want to create my job now. I want to create my job first. So currently, what's the time? Let's say 10:38. Okay. So 10:38 today, 20th April. I want to create my job for anything. Let's say for data import. For data import for few columns. Okay. Data import for few columns. Few columns, not all the column, because we know if I'm using import, it takes one table and all the column. Now I'm saying I will extract one table, but not all the column. So in my previous example, I have taken a cust table, ID, name, and country. Let's say I just need name and country. I don't need this ID to be stored in HDFS, right? This is my one query. So for that query, I want to create a job. Job I can create for any query. Whatever query you have seen so far, joining, single import, import all tables, export, this query can be written for any job. Okay, I'll just simplify first job using import few columns. Then you can try with others. Now, how to create the job and what is the idea behind creating the job? Because I don't want to submit it this time. I want to submit this job today, 20th APR, but I want to submit this 5 p.m. This is like you're kind of scheduling it. You're saying, I'll not submit immediately, I'll submit after some time. Because this is what happened in production. In production, if some of the job is business is asking to submit at 3 a.m. early morning BST, Britain Standard Time, you'll not wake up at 3 a.m. and then you'll submit the job. This is what we do. We schedule this all the job using Tivoli workstation, using Uzi, using cron jobs, using Polar, using autosaves. Right? What we do, we schedule the job. So when my clock ticks at 3 a.m., automatically this job will start running. And then I can see using my monitoring tool like Tivoli workstation and other monitoring tool that what is the total progress state. Whether the job is submitted successfully, completed successfully, killed, waiting, holding, all that status I can check it. But my idea is currently to schedule the job. I don't want to submit it immediately. And to scheduling the job, Scoop provides you one parameter as scoop job. So this is written as follows: scoop job. Let me see the syntax of it. Scoop job. Okay. So there's my query: scoop job minus minus create and job name. So job name I will give cells, or let me take different table this time. I'll take maybe uh, table dim customer, dimension of customer. I'll take this table. See the record. So I have total 4 plus 3. 7 rows are there. Right? 7 rows and 5 columns. So 7 rows and 5 columns. Dimension wise, I have total 5. Matrices is 7 by 5. This is what is my matrices in mathematically speaking. Uh, so I want to create a job for this dim customer, and I will give this job name. I'll give this job name as my dim. This can be anything, okay? This can be logical representation of your job. This job can be anything. My dim hyphen import, and then from here I will write a query. From here I will write a query. And what is my query? Minus minus connect. This is connection URL, JDBC, MySQL, IP address 192.168.41.1, database name, username, password, table name, and what is the table name? Dim customer. Now you said you want few columns, right? You don't want all the column from this table. Where is the table? This is a table. So you want few columns only from this table. Let's say you want only column customer name and load date. You want these two things, customer name and load date. So total number of column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5. I just need column 3 and column 5. So I'll write this column name simple. In my query, I will add this column name. Here I'll say minus minus table dim customer, then minus minus columns. And what was the column name? Customer name and load date. Customer name, comma, load date. Earlier, if I'm looking for all the column, then I was not giving this parameter, right? If you watch my previous videos, if I want to extract all the column, then I was not giving this parameter. But currently I want few columns only, that's why I'm giving this parameter. Space, you want to store this in which directory? So I want to store this in my dim cust. This is my directory name, and I want to use number of mapper. If you want to use a sequence file, Spark Avro, you can give that parameter also. If you want a specific record for that particular date, you can give where condition also. So now you know the couple of parameter. How can we extract that specific record from RDBMS to HDFS? I'll submit this now. Now, one thing will happen. When I submit this, this job will not immediately start. Because what is my idea behind submitting this job? I want to submit this job not immediately at this time. I want to submit it later sometime. So enter. This will ask you password, which is root. Can you see your job? Can you list it? Did you see any any job submission started, any mapper reducer? Because this has just created a job currently, and there are some other parameter to list it. Minus minus list. This is my job name. My underscore dim. If I want to see the detail of it, I can give minus minus details. I guess this is a parameter. Okay, so detail. Okay, let me submit a scoop job first to see the number of argument. Hyphen show. Sorry, it was not detail. It was so. So instead of detail, I will write so here in my job name, which was my dim cust. This will give me internal information about this job. I think I'm giving the wrong name. Okay, it is just my dim. Okay, just my dim, not my dim customer. Password, and this is all internal information which are there for this job. You can read it. That what is the number of mapper? It should be 1 because we set at 1. This is my connection URL. This is number of mapper, split size. Internally, it has taken some of the parameter, which is set by default. Now, can I execute this job? So I have created this job 2 minutes ago, and now I want to submit this. If you want to delete the job, you can use scoop job minus delete and that job name, which is my name. If I submit, my job will be deleted. And why you need to delete? Because suppose you have created this job and you want to modify something on it. You want to modify. So this is not allowed. Modification is not allowed in this. That's why I can create, one option is there, I can create with a different name, with different job name. This is one option. And second option is I can delete it and recreate with the same name. Up to me. If I need a same job name, maybe in scheduler, in some production, I need to have a same job name. I'll delete it and again I'll recreate it. But if job name is not making any difference in my scheduler, then I can change this job name and give some other job name. We need this delete for this purpose. Currently, I don't want to delete it because all the query which we have written in our job looks fine to us. To submit this, minus exec. Exec stand for execution. So how many parameter? First, hyphen create to create the job, hyphen list to list the job, hyphen show to get the detail, hyphen delete to delete the job, and last one is a hyphen exec. This is for execution. The moment I submit this, immediately my execution will start, which means this will go to 8088. And this port number is from resource manager. And the rest of the thing will start off your mapper percentage and reducer percentage. Okay. Let me submit this. Approved. Done. Your job is executed and 7 records are extracted. Can we go and see this? So what was my job name and where I set this uh, data to be stored? We can list this. And I think this is the folder name according to this time, system time, 19 April 10 20 22. clear the screen. My dim cust. This record will be stored in text delimited format because I have not used any Avro sequence or parquet. If I read this file, I can read it. So answering your question again, you said why we are using a serialization and deserialization technique to create a safety tunnel. Suppose you are extracting this data, this two column, right? Or all the column, and your data transfer packet, somebody can see this record. So that this information is visible to others. They are able to read your information. This is not a secured data then, right? So whenever we work and propose some solution to business, they ask what is the security level? What is your layer of security? You're having one security layer, two security layer. What is the number of security layers? This is one important question, and that's the reason we do this three things. Okay. So if you get a chance to read about it, just read in wiki that what is the compression, what is the encryption, and what is the serialization. They're closely related but used for different purpose. All these three things is changing my data nature. The data which I can see like this, if I use any of this format. So compression, we know that gunzip, tar, they compression is mainly for reducing the spaces and speeding data transfer. Speeding data transfer. This is the two reason we're using compression technique. Encryption is mainly for encryption decryption, right? This again I can call as a data security. And this I can call it data security along with if I'm writing my code in Java, in Scala, in Python. Once I have serialized my data, it does not matter that using which programming language I'm reading this file. I can read it from any programming languages. So this is a basic concept of compression, encryption, and serialization. Okay, but to know more about it and deep dive into this, you just read about this in a wiki. What's compression, encryption, serialization? After creating a job and this job in submitting this job using using Hadoop job exec command, which is my execution command. Next query is compression. That can I compress my record? Just like in previous, you have used currently serialization. Can you compress this record? Okay. So compression option we have multiple, and Hadoop supports multiple compression technique. Compress records from RDBMS to HDFS. To HDFS. Okay. And how can I compress it? There are multiple options. If I use a by default compression, okay, if I just pass minus minus compression, okay, then it will use gunzip format. By default in this query, if I just pass it last minus minus compress, okay, I'll tell you this when I write a code query. If I just use minus minus compress, so by default my file will be compressed in this format, ZZ gunzip. If I want to use other format, I can use compression codec. Okay, so when I use compression codec, I have 6 different options. If you remember MapReduce, so in compression codec, let me see the parameter. Is it the same parameter which I'm expecting or it's different? Compression. Okay, this is right. Just clarification, I went there to check the parameter. Now, by default, I'm using compression, and here I'm using compression codec. And then how many different compression I can use? I can use bzip2, I can use snappy, I can use dipflat, I can use lzo, I can use lz4, and obviously I can use concept. So this is six different compression technique. This is six different compression technique, and we have seen this all the compression technique in MapReduce, right? There is a separate package created of Kodak, but here I'm just using my parameter and my job is done. I'll use compression codec and I'll pass any one of it. So this is by default one. This is by default one. If I want to use, let's say, bzip2 or snappy, right? Then I can say hyphen compression hyphen codec, and I'll pass that argument as snappy. Then it will compress my file and give me extension of .snappy. I'll do it. First, I will use minus minus compress by default technique. Then I will use minus minus compression minus codec, and I'll use any of the parameter. You can use anything, okay? Snappy I'll use. You guys can test it with dipflat, bzip2, lz2, lz4. Multiple options are there. Six different compression techniques. Now from my previous argument, scope import. In this cells, I will use target directory as minus minus target minus directory space directory name, and this name is scoop underscore zz underscore comp. That's its name, and I'll remove this. Enter. What else? Minus minus compress. If you're thinking, can I use compression and serialization together? Yes, you can use it. If you want to use compression and serialization together, you can use it. Okay. Now minus minus compress and enter. So this will take little extra time, because when you compress, I'll tell you one thing which happens behind the scene. So whenever you compress, you know that it is taking less space. It is reducing your file size. So obviously space will be less, and transfer of your file will be faster because file has been reduced. Suppose I have 1 GB of file. If I use compression technique, this is somewhere 300 MB. The space I've utilized, and transferring from one machine to second machine will take less time. But problem, when I try to process this data using CPU, my core processing unit, so CPU takes more time to read this compressed file. So this is not good for CPU. Your CPU will take more time to read this 300 MB compared to this. So this is why one drawback of compression, that CPU time uh, is is getting high from if I'm comparing my previous file process and my compressed file process. So this part we'll see in processing, especially in, I will cover this topic in Spark. Why CPU takes more time? What is the concept of this cache and persistence? Those things will come there. Now we'll go and see this record. We'll validate this information. HDFS, DFS, minus ls. What was the query? Scoop ZZ COMP. Scoop ZZ COMP. Enter. Can you see it? ZZ by default gunzip format. Read this again. This is my compressed file. If I want to unzip this, let me try one command. If I want to unzip this, I think there is a command HDFS. HDFS does not have that unzip thing. First, I need to take this into local. I'll do that just in a while. Now, second one, after using compression, second one is a compression codec that I want to use my own choice, not a by default one. And I want to use this snappy because MapReduce by default compression format is a snappy. So if I want to process this data using MapReduce, I'll say let compress this in snappy format. What is the query? Just one change again. I'll say compression minus codec and space snappy. That's it. So argument, we need to remember. The rest of the query is very small and simple. Listed again. Sorry. I missed a list. DFS, DFS minus ls. What was the directory name? Scoop snappy COMP. Scoop snappy COMP. Can you see it again? Extension. This is very clear that what is the format, because with a dot extension you get the name. And if I read this again, so if you remember, in MapReduce we have two flag for this. For the 6 different techniques, we had two flag, -1 and -9. Because whenever we are using compression technique, we try to achieve two things. One is speed and second is space. Now, for speed we give -1, for space we give -9. This two flag is there, and I think this is already in a compression codec of chapter number 5, like 141 pages there. So same technique we are using of compression codec for this, default compression for Hadoop, and compression. Why we are using compression, that's clear. So always we should know why we are doing this. First this part, then how we are doing this, how we'll learn in query part. But this is technically, this is important before doing anything. This, if this thing is clear, you can answer many questions, that why you need this compression technique, why you need this specific compression technique, or maybe this is specific compression technique. There are some other incremental approach which we'll check tomorrow.